All praise, all praise, most certainly due to the Most High, the God of the patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and peace to you in the name of Jesus. This is your brother Elisha Israel of the house of the faith, and I count it truly a blessing each and every single time that I can come before you to preach the word of God, and never do I count it as a light thing to do so. Before I get started, though, I want to say peace to that brother Tony. I saw the message that you put up on Facebook. All praise is certainly due to the Most High. Anything that's said that is edifying, because that is the point of this page. That's the point. That's the reason why I can't come on here all the time, and I feel that's part of the purpose that God has given me, is to preach the word of God. So somebody listens to hear, and they're inspired in any way, shape, or form. It truly does my heart good, and all praise certainly belongs to the Most High. So, brother, peace to you, and thank you for even posting that. I'd also like to say hello to all the agents out there, all the agents that are doing their work, all the snakes that do their work. We see you. And of course, peace to all those who are listening, trying to be edified. And with that, I want to get right into today's or tonight's sermon. I'm a little late, but I'm here. Peace to you, Ruth. The title is "We Need to Kneel, but not for the flag." You know, this is in response to the new NFL policy, in part, response to the new NFL policy in regard to the kneeling or protesting police brutality during the National Anthem. And I just want to read some things, because I touched upon this before, but this new policy just came out, and it really shows the hypocrisy of this nation, the inability of the nation to look at itself in the mirror with all its ugliness and own it. You know, it's one thing people, and that's how people are, not just the nation, but people who make up the nation. That's a human thing, to not want to look within the depths of one's soul and to come to grips with what you have done, okay, and continue to do, and to really see just who you are. And unfortunately, for so many, the inability to look at oneself leads to downfall, leads to destruction. But I want to read this here, so bear with me, if you will. Then I'm going to read a few things, then I'm going to get into the scriptures. So now this is pertaining to this new policy. On May 2018, the NFL announced its new policy regarding the national anthem. All 32 NFL owners unanimously approved the policy, which requires players to stand if they are on the field. According to this policy, teams will be fined if players or personnel seem to disrespect the national anthem in any way through protest. This is in response to police brutality protests sparked by then former San Francisco quarterback Colin Kaepernick. Kaepernick sat during the national anthem, and when questioned by media, stated on August 26, 2016, "I am not going to stand," it's a quote, "I'm not going to stand up to show pride in the flag for a country that oppresses Black people and people of color. To me, this is bigger than football, and it would be selfish on my part to look the other way. There are bodies in the street and people getting paid leave and getting away with murder." It should be noted that according to the Counted Project, Black males ages 15 through 34, this is in regard to what he's talking about, were 9 times, this is in 2016, were 9 times more likely than other Americans to be killed by law enforcement. According to the study, there were 1,091 deaths recorded in 2016 in the wake of mass shootings since 2016 by whites. That should be considered terrorism, by the way. That is never called terrorism. It begs the question, how could these men be apprehended without incident? For example, on the evening So what I'm saying is you have all these black men that are killed, and yet you have white men committing terrorism and being apprehended without incident. You see them attacking police, being apprehended without somebody being killed. On the evening of June 17, 2015, this is an example, after killing 9 people in the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina, Dylan Roof was apprehended without incident, while Patrick Harmon, who was stopped by a police officer on August 13, 2016, for riding a bicycle across 6 lanes and a median, was shot in the back after trying to flee from police. So police are playing the role of officer, judge, and executioner. Now, the next day after Colin Kaepernick released or made his statements to the media, the next day the NFL released a statement saying the players are encouraged but not required to stand during the match playing of the national anthem. Now, this occurred because, again, a reporter saw him sitting. Okay? And because of this, he received backlash. Okay? He received backlash from people. But before I get into the backlash, let me read this also. Because ironically, the day that they put this new policy out is the day that the video, the same day that the NFL made its announcement, the Milwaukee Police Department released body cam footage of the arrest and tasing of Milwaukee Bucks player Sterling Brown. Prior to the release of the footage, police stated that Brown became confrontational. Now, before it was released to the public, the mayor viewed it, and the mayor, Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett, stated prior to its release, this is a quote, "This type of behavior has no place in our city. No citizen should be treated this way." So he's talking about the conduct of the police. Okay? In contrast to the NFL, the Milwaukee Bucks put its full support behind Brown, said in gave a team statement, quote, "Unfortunately, this is the team." Now, do you see the contrast between it? See, I haven't watched football, NFL football, since Colin Kaepernick has been blackballed. I refuse to watch it. And I won't be watching it. Unfortunately, I'll hold that for a second. Unfortunately, continue with this statement. It says, unfortunately, this isn't an isolated case, which is what Kaepernick was protesting. It wasn't protesting even America, even for all this done as far as slavery and Jim Crow. He was trying to bring, and others were trying to bring attention to police killing people. So now, there's that book, $40 Million Slave. I mean, when you to be told to shut up, when you really think about it, the people, the league is made up largely of our people. Our people are getting killed in the streets. And then you had these foolish talking points. Some would say, well, blacks kill blacks. Yeah, and when blacks kill blacks and they get caught, they go to jail. These police, not all of them, but too many of them, first of all, targeting black people in America are targeted in a lot of different ways. Black people are targeted as those who they can extract resources from. Go to your courthouse. If you live in a predominantly black area, go to the courthouse, or even where there's black people, you will see black people because that's who they're writing tickets for all kinds of violations. Because they are funding themselves through. It's not like other people are not doing these things, but they are targeting black people. You have the report that came out some years ago that the white supremacists are infiltrating law enforcement throughout the country. That was an FBI report. So it shouldn't be a coincidence when you see these great soldiers get notches on their belt, killing people for no reason. It's not a warranted reason. You running from a police officer is not a reason for you to get shot in the back. But then you have some people who say, well, you're doing something. You shouldn't have been doing that. That's why you got shot. Wait a minute. Think about the things that you've done. Think about the tickets you may have received. So if that's the case, so you speed, you need to get shot? Come on, I saw one where the man, he pulls into the gas station. The cop pulls up behind him. He say, what's the problem, officer? Get your license and registration. He goes to get his license and registration. The cop running past him like he lost his mind just shooting him. And he asked him on the ground, why did you shoot me? He said, because you was reaching your glove compartment. He said, you told me to get my license. Yeah, the man that was shot, he running because he got child support. Now he running, this man running extremely slow. And that officer was taking target practice, shot him in the back. Then it seems like he dropped a taser. Here come the black cop acting like nothing happened. Wasn't there at the time. Maybe she didn't know. It was a female. Maybe she didn't know. But see, that's one thing about it. These cops understand what's going on. They understand the corruption that's there. So that's what he's protesting. But the people who entertain a large white fan base, they don't care about you. They just want to be entertained. While you die in the street like dogs, they don't care as long as their team wins. Because, again, one thing that football does, it keeps your mind off of things you should be sport in general. It's like bread and circus of Rome. It keeps your mind off of things that you should be concerned with, like oppression in society. I want to read something here because it took courage. And I'm not necessarily agreeing with everything this man says or does by any means, but it took courage. He risked his career, lost his career trying to stand up for black people, and they still watching football. Also, I want to make a point about the Sterling Brown incident. The chief, Alfonso Morales, at a news conference, quote, stated, this is a quote, the department conducted an investigation into the incident which revealed members acted inappropriately and those members were recently disciplined. This is because this is a high profile, in part, I will say. This is because this is a high profile person and he's filing a lawsuit and it's bringing negativity to the city of Milwaukee, to the police department. But this is not, as the brother stated in his statement. He gave a statement, the brother from the Milwaukee Bucks, the player that was assaulted and tased, when it should have just been a simple ticket. He talked about how this is normal. So you think about it. You go and entertain, risk your body for these people, and amongst your people, you say, wait, hey, we getting killed. And what do? Tell you to shut up. And in addition to that, Colin Kaepernick went from sitting during the national anthem, to kneeling to show respect because he was persuaded by a former former soldier that, hey, this is a respectful way to protest. He was trying to be respectful. But he got all kind of backlash from a lot of white fans, a lot of white players, making foolish tweets, even some lost Negroes, making all kinds of tweets. How could you? The team is more important. Negroes will be Negroes. And I want to read something that Tony Dungy said. All right. He said, there was a time when I didn't stand up for the national anthem, but as I grew as a Christian man, see, Christianity has destroyed Negroes. But as I grew as a Christian man, I felt like that wasn't the right thing to do for me. There was something that I could do to make it better. So when I saw racial injustice that I perceived, I stood for the national anthem. Again, what is that's not, see, Christianity tells you to be an idiot. And I'm not calling Tony Dungy an idiot, but it makes you into an idiot. Okay? Why does it do that? Because it has you doing things that are contrary to your well-being that Christ never said to do. He said, I stood for the national anthem, but I bowed my head and prayed that God would make us a country that really was the land of the free and the home of the brave. This is landed in captivity. Now, let me read something here concerning the national anthem, and then I'm going to get into the scriptures and pertaining to this topic. So now, just a little bit about the national anthem. Who wrote the national anthem? Okay. So now let me read. First of all, Francis Scott Key wrote the national anthem. Francis Scott Key was a slave owner, brothers and sisters. He owned slaves. Okay. And when you look at the song and the stanza that's taken out, it is insulting to black people. So common sense, number one, there is no reason in the world, just for this reason alone, that black people, the descendants of slaves, those who have come in the diaspora, the so-called Negro, the true Israelites written of in the Bible, should ever stand for the national anthem, because it was an insult. The song insults you. Okay? Now, let me read the stanza that was taken out. Okay? This is the third, this is the rarely sung third stanza of the national anthem. Now, when it says hireling and slave, it's referring to our people who were hired to fight on the side of the British during the War of 1812. Now it says this is what is in the song, the national anthem, that they rarely sing, and most been singing it from Whitney Houston to all kind of people, black folks. I mean, you even had Jimi Hendrix. The best renditions of this song have been sung by our people, and ironically, it is a song that insults our people. Now you had black people who had been enslaved, and black people who were fighting on the side of the British in the Revolutionary War, black people that were fighting on the side of the British during the War of 1812. Why? Because the British, brothers and sisters, were offering freedom at the time, and America was not. The colonies were not. So it says in this third stanza, and where is that band who so vauntingly swore that the havoc of war and the vitals confusion, a home and a country should leave us no more? Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps pollution. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. So he said, you can't be saved from death, you slave. You're going to be terrorized, which we have been terrorized. He said, the Star-Spangled Banner in triumph doth wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave. Ironically, again, this is America. It is one huge contradiction. You're talking about freedom. And that's another thing. To force somebody to be patriotic is not patriotism, nor is it freedom. It shows you why people, the fact that you have to force somebody to do it and then say, this you are free, shows you that you're not free. Now, historians, in particular Robin Blackburn, who wrote The Overthrow of Colonial Slavery, 1776 to 1848, author of American Blacks in the War of 1812, read the stanza as glorying the Americans' defeat of the corps of colonial Marines. This is one of two units of black slaves recruited between 1808 and 1816 to fight the British, to fight for the British In return, they will receive their freedom. Okay. So now this is who he's talking about, or at least that's what this historian and some other historians are saying he was talking about. Okay. Now Francis Scott Key. Now this is from a Snopes article I'm reading. Francis Scott Key. He wrote this, the Star-Spangled Banner, in the wake of the Battle of Fort McHenry on 14th of September, 1814. Again, he was a slave owner, and he believed, quote, that blacks were distinct and an inferior race of people, which all experience proves to be the greatest evil that afflicts a community. This is what the man who wrote the Star-Spangled Banner, or the National Anthem, said about black people. He even he despises black people. He said, you can't escape the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. This is what he's saying. Okay? Similar to Thomas Jefferson, right? And these other presidents who have been slave owners, but somehow the way you think they're your forefathers, you've lost your mind. You've lost your identity. Okay? So all that talk of land of the free, home of the brave, he was a slave owner. So, but I do want to return back to Tony Dungy's words. You know, Tony Dungy has a lot of respect in the NFL, and he carries himself in a very upright way. I'm not saying he doesn't. He's just wrong in his assessment. That's why I say Christianity destroys you. Because you know it makes Christianity, the Christianity that was given to us in slavery was not what the Bible was saying. It was a misrepresentation of what this Bible is saying, and it was used to enslave us, to make us better slaves, to make us better servants, to keep us in bondage. So he says again, there was a time when I didn't stand up for the national anthem, but as I grew as a Christian man, I felt like that wasn't the right thing to do for me. There was something that I could do to make it better. So when I saw racial injustice that I perceived, I stood for the national anthem, but I bowed my head and prayed that God would make us a country that really was the land of the free and the home of the brave. See, you shouldn't have to do that. Nobody's asking white folks to do that. Nobody's asking nobody else to do. You just deal with it and pray inside your mind that it might change. But still stand up for it. That's foolishness. Why are you standing up for a song that was written by somebody who owns slaves, who insults you in the song? The man said that you are an inferior race and the worst in the community. Go stand up in the midst of some people that don't care at a football game or wherever you at, that don't care, not all of them, but a lot of them don't care that your people are being killed by police. And then it's hypocrisy anyway. When you get to talking about why everything's so politicized and the military is there in the first place. And then you drape the flag on the ground like that's supposed to be done. See, a bunch of hypocrites. A bunch of hypocrites. But let's go to the Bible. Let's go to the Bible. Because a bunch of hypocrisy. A bunch of hypocrisy. I want to start off in let's see. 1 Corinthians, because he talked about praying. See, not 1 Corinthians, 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles, because he talked about praying in his head about how things can get better. But let me show you. Yeah, we need to pray, but not for what you're talking about. Why you praying? Let's look at this here. This is Solomon's prayer concerning the chosen people of God. This is the prayer of the dedication of the temple. So it said, now, and he stood before the presence of the altar of the Lord in the presence of all the congregation of Israel and spread forth his hands. Now he's praying. This is Solomon, right? Now he says something. Let's skip down to verse 34, because in his prayer pertaining to his people, he says something. He says, if thy people go out to war against their enemies by the way that thou shalt send them, and they pray unto thee toward this city which thou hast chosen, and thy house which I have built for thy name. So now if these people pray toward this house, the temple, and the city, Jerusalem, not Washington, D.C., right? Not Washington, I'm saying it again, not Washington, D.C., not any of the 50 capitals in the United States. He said Jerusalem, city of the great king, the city of peace. He said, pray towards this place. And if you pray, if the people pray, he said, then hear thou from the heavens their prayer and their supplication and maintain their cause. Okay? So what we need to do, we open up, we pray towards Jerusalem. And when we pray, period, we pray towards Jerusalem. We're going to find out why. He says, if they sin against thee, for there is no man which sinneth not, and sin is transgression of the law, and thou be angry with them and deliver them before their enemies, and they carry them away captives unto a land far off or near. That's how you got here. That's how all these Negroes make up the NFL. You got the strongest men. Why? Because we were, the weak were cast into the ocean. The weak didn't make it through the trek to the slave castle. The weak didn't make it out of the slave castle. The weak didn't make it past that boat ride. So understand what you're looking at when you're looking at the NFL. So you got some people. Understand what you're looking at when you're looking at our people. Again, like I said to brother, see yourself through the scriptures. See, so what we're looking at now is a direct consequence of what our forefathers did. They sinned against God. We were cast into slavery. And we weren't cast into slavery so we could get Christianity. Again, Christianity destroyed you. I've heard Negroes say that. Thank God for slavery. Although it's bad, we got Jesus. These white people didn't give you Jesus. Let me say that again. They gave you their version of the Mashiach. Okay? That's who they gave you. They gave you white Jesus. They gave you an inferiority complex. They stripped you of everything, your identity, everything, and told you that you were less than. Read Notes of Virginia by Thomas Jefferson. How he talks about the beauty of white people and the inferior look of blacks. How we don't feel pain as much. All these racist things. Read Forced into Glory by Lerone Bennett, who talks about Abraham Lincoln and how he just used the N-word and how he played. Many Negroes think he was this great emancipator. No. You still got slavery today through the 13th Amendment. Let me show you how slick he was. He had Emancipation Proclamation. It only applied to states that left the Union. So those slave states like Kentucky that didn't leave the Union, hey, they had slaves. They were still enslaved. So if it was all this great thing that he wanted to free the slaves, listen, he said, if I could free some of the slaves and keep the Union together, I would do it. If I could free all the slaves and keep the Union together, I would do it. If I could free none of the slaves and keep the Union together, I would do it. It was about keeping the Union together. What slaves did was they walked off the plantations when they saw the northern troops encroaching. When they heard, that's how they got out of them, got free. They walked out and then they became contraband. And then that's why they were talking about giving us 40 acres and a mule. Some of us got some land in the Carolinas, a little bit of land, and they took all that land back. Still no reparations. And what do these people tell you today? Japanese got their reparations. They still taking care of these so-called Jews. They get reparations. They get billions of dollars. but you built the country through your labor, they tell you to forget about it. They tell you to forget about it. Nothing happened. Like nothing's owed to you. And you still dying in the street. And they saying, shut up and play. I say, shut up and pray. Not that this country, well, it'll be some real, that I just hope it get better. No, you need to pray to God for a different reason. And in a different way. So it says in verse 36, if they sin against thee, for there is no man which sinneth not, and thou be angry with them and deliver them over before their enemies, and they carry them away captives unto a land far off and near. Yet if they bethink themselves in the land whither they are carried captive, and turn and pray unto thee in the land of their captivity, saying, we have sinned, we have dealt amiss, and have dealt wickedly. He said that they return to thee with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their captivity, whither they have carried them captives, and pray toward their land, which thou gavest unto their fathers, and toward the city which thou hast chosen, and toward thy house which I have built for thy name. Then hear their prayer. Then hear thou from heaven, Then hear thou from heavens, even from thy dwelling place, their prayer and their supplications, and maintain their cause, and forgive thy people which have sinned against thee. This is what we need to do. We don't need to be praying about America per se. We need to be praying to our God, acknowledging the sins that we have committed, that our forefathers committed. We need to turn back to God. We actually need to abandon Christianity as it has been given unto us and get back to what the book is actually saying, because the book is not, Christianity is not about the book. Christianity is about the doctrines of men, the traditions of men. Is based on paganism, rooted in paganism. All these Christian denominations come from this mother whore, the Roman Catholic Church. Whether you are Baptist, AME, whatever it is, you coming out of Rome. Christianity, brother of Christianity, you coming out of Rome. That's why I see the mother of harlots. Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots. You just a little whore. You're Lutheran, you just a little whore. You're a Baptist, you're a little whore. You're Episcopalian, you're Methodist, you are a little whore. So he said, if they would turn back to God, how do you turn back to God? You acknowledge your sin and you start keeping his law, statutes, and commandments. And of course, we believe in the Messiah. We have faith in him. That's what we need to do as a people. That's what we need to do as a people. There's no way in the world we shouldn't be turning back to our God. You don't understand that all that we are suffering, because they still hanging people. People not paying attention. It's on the low. They still hanging people. Look at the stories. They still hanging people, calling them suicides. You still strange fruit on the tree. And listen, check the record. I said, Trayvon, I said it's the tip of the iceberg. Well, next thing you know, it was high profile killings everywhere. They were not high profile, but they were largely covered by the media. Everywhere. Boom, 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 boom. I told you, I said, hey, you understand we living in a time right after Reconstruction, after Reconstruction 2.0, after 1877. I told you, and what is happening? All these things are being rolled back. If you haven't noticed, when you got some people with some tiki torches talking about you will not replace us marching in the street openly, not the KKK, openly, white supremacists everywhere. Look around you where you at. Overt racism. This is what time it is. And it's going to get worse. That's what you don't understand. But he said, if they bethink themselves into the land, whether they are carried captives in America, right here in Babylon, and wherever we're at, he says, and turn and pray unto thee in the land of their captivity, saying, we have sinned, we have done amiss, and have dealt wickedly. If they return to thee with all their heart, with all their soul in the land of their captivity, whither they have carried them captives, and pray toward their land, which thou gavest unto their fathers, and toward the city which thou hast chosen, and toward thy house which I have built for thy name, then hear thou from the heavens. Hear thou from the heavens, even from thy dwelling place, their prayer and their supplications, and maintain their cause, and forgive thy people which have sinned against thee. See, we have land. We have land. And now let's see if this was confirmed. This is right in the 2 Chronicles 7. Was his prayer confirmed? It says, now when Solomon had made an end of praying, the fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and the glory of the Lord filled the house. And the priest could not enter into the house of the Lord, because the glory of the Lord had filled the Lord's house. And when all the children of Israel saw how the fire came down and the glory of the Lord upon the house, see, one thing about it, the Lord can save you out of your situation. He has the power, but you have to do your part. You have to acknowledge him as God. When he brought us out of Egypt, he told us, I'm God when I brought you on eagle's wings. I delivered you. But we continue to deny him and worship the gods that we have created in the vain imagination of our mind, to worship the gods that were given to us in slavery, and to continue in this false worship of these heathen that do not know God. We following heathen. We dressing up like cardinals. Show me a cardinal in the book. We're doing everything that these people that don't know God have done, when we are the priests of the Most High. We are the ones that he gave his laws, his statutes, his commandments to. We are the people of the book that the book is talking about. That what the book is telling you, that these people will go into captivity by way of slave ships. But somehow Jesus is white. And they say it ain't about color. If it's not about color, why you change the color? It is about who he is about the truth. Let's go to the book of Daniel, just to show you well, actually, let's go back to 2 Chronicles. Back to 2 Chronicles 7. I turned, but 2 Chronicles 7, because he says something. 2 Chronicles 7, in verse 12, the Lord says something about this. He said, or verse 14, he said, if my people, which are called by my name, that's Israel, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways. See, that's what we need to turn from, our wicked ways, our transgressing of his law. We need to repair our homes, repair our families, get back to what he gave us and live according to it. Start keeping the Sabbath day. Put this swine down. Negroes gonna be out on Monday barbecuing some swine Memorial Day. What you remembering when you was a slave during the Revolutionary War? What you remember when you was a slave during the War 1812? What you remembering when you was treated like dogs when you came back from fighting in World War I rather, coming back dismembered, and then all these race riots, they were killing black soldiers. They didn't want to see you on the street. What you remember, World War II? Huh? When you was the segregation running rampant? What you want to read? Vietnam War, where you went at a disproportionate rate? What you want to remember? Do you want to remember? Do you realize that you are a spoil of war? And now, because slavery is over, it's gonna come. Let's try to figure out what to do with you. That's the reality. That's the reality. And you trying to escape the reality. You trying to deny the reality. Negroes talking about there is no white supremacy or system of white supremacy. Negroes talking about racism does not exist. Okay. Racism is woven into the very fabric of the country. Racism is the dominant group through its power, subjecting other groups to its will, and in addition, extracting resources that it wants. Those resources could be people. And remaining dominant, all the while, even moving in a way in which you don't even realize it. See, that's one thing they learned after the civil rights movement. If you move a little differently, you can keep these Negroes asleep. That's what they learned. That's what they learned. There's more than one ways to skin a cat. A black or white mouse can catch a rat. That's what people don't realize. Our people don't realize. But he said, if my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Understand what benefit? Because I was reading with Tony Dunn, he said, who prayed that it's going to be, what benefit does somebody who's women in football, if it is competition in football, what team, if they're winning, is going to allow, they're not going to play defense at all. They're going to lay down on the ground and let the other team score until they can catch up. And now, instead of being 0-50 like it is, they're going to make it 50-50. And then they're going to say, all right, we're going to play fair now. We know y'all only have 5 people on your team, but we're going to give y'all 11. Y'all got 11 people that can play. We're going to make the rules fair. We're going to stop cheating, right? We're going to stop putting sedatives in your Gatorade and drink it. Everybody fall asleep. We're going to stop. We're going to give you some proper equipment. We're going to make the thing even feel fair. And why would you do that? What is the incentive? So while you praying for I wish it would be free. When has it ever? It was not founded upon that. It was not founded upon how it's going to be some justice here. When it was founded on genocide, slavery, oppression, violence. That's the reality. But again, not being able to look at that reality, even the Negro can't look at that reality. Doesn't want to look at it because he still wants to hope in America. If you have not noticed, America is a crumbling empire. If you have not noticed, America is on its way down. If you have not noticed. Let me go to Daniel. This is Daniel, the 9th chapter, because here Daniel was in captivity. He was taken into Babylon. He was righteous, but nevertheless, he was taken into Babylon. And let's see what he did pertaining to prayer. This is Daniel, the 9th chapter. Daniel 9, I'm going to pick it up at verse... Daniel 9 and verse 3. Because now he read the prophet Jeremiah and he's trying to get some understanding on the 70 years in the desolations of Jerusalem. But he says in verse 3, and I set my face unto the Lord God to seek by prayer and supplication with fasting and sackcloth and ashes. Then what does it say? And I prayed unto the Lord my God and made my confession and said, O Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping the covenant and mercy to them that love him and to them that keep his commandments. We have sinned and have committed iniquity and have done wickedly and have rebelled even by departing from thy precepts and from thy judgments. Neither have we hearkened unto thy servants, the prophets, which spake in thy name to our kings, our princes, and our fathers, and to all the people of the land. In his mercy, he sent men to speak unto you, to tell you what thus saith the Lord, to tell you what you need to do, to tell you to turn back to God, but you refuse and continue to refuse. So it says, he prayed, he acknowledged the sins of his forefathers. That's what he did. That's what he did. Even when you look at why Daniel was even thrown in the lion's den, what did he get thrown in the lion's den for? He got thrown in the lion's den because he was praying to Jerusalem. It was a decree made. He faced Jerusalem and prayed because he was in captivity. Why did he do that? Because that's what was to be done. Let's go to Deuteronomy. Well, actually, forgive me. Let's stay in Daniel and read something else here. This is Daniel again. It's still in Daniel 9. And I want to read something he said in verse 11. He says, because he talked about how we've sinned against God, rebelled against God. Then he said, yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore, the curse is poured upon us. And the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of God, because we have sinned against him. What curse is he talking about? He goes into verse 13. He said, as it is written in the law of Moses, all this evil has come upon us. Yet may we not our prayer before the Lord our God, that we might turn from our iniquities and understand thy truth. And his word is true. His commandments are the truth. So now, what is he talking about, though? This curse, Deuteronomy 28. See, he understood what was written. He was reading Jeremiah. He understood what this is. We've gotten away from this, and we've been away from this so long to get back. Deuteronomy the 28th chapter, because he said, hey, it's a curse upon us. What curse was he talking about? This is Deuteronomy the 15th chapter. Deuteronomy 28th chapter, in the 15th verse. He says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes to command thee this day, these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. See, these curses are going to come upon you. Who wrote this? Moses. He said that it was written up by Moses. What's going to happen? Curse shall thou be in the city, curse shall thou be in the field, curse shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind and thy flocks of thy sheep. Then he says something in verse 25. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies, kingdoms of the earth. That's how we in captivity all over the earth. Let's go to because this would happen. It happened then. But let's go to Luke, the 21st chapter, and understand how this captivity took place. Because Israel was consistently, when they sinned against God, consistently going in and out of captivity. They cried to God, and he delivered them. But there was a point of no return, so to speak. This is Luke 21, because this is when it was like, okay, that's it for you. This is Luke 21 and verse 20. This is the Messiah. He says, and when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Okay? Why? What's going to happen? Verse 24. And they shall, talking about Israel, they shall fall by the edge of the sword. If we would have read in Deuteronomy 28 and verse 26, he talked about verse 25, talking about how you're going to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Then it says, and thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. He says here in verse 24, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword. So now you're going to be dead, all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down to the Gentiles, of these heathens. He said, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And that time is fast approaching. But what's going to happen to this people? You read in verse 30, it says you're going to betroth a wife. In Deuteronomy 28 and 30, you shall betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. He talked about your kids being sold in verse 41. In verse 32 as well. All these, he said in verse 45, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed. See, that's why that's why in every negative parameter of living, we lead the way. In prosperity, we're on the total bottom. We are not, we've sinned against God. So he said, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed. And they shall be upon thee, verse 46, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder and upon thy seed forever. So when you find the people that had these curses, then you know who Israel is. Verse 68, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Then go. It's not talking about Israel going back into Egypt, but it's talking about Israel going back into bondage, because that was the first bondage. It says, and you going there by way of ships, by the way of slave ships. He said, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, meaning nobody's going to redeem you. But that's not the end of the story. It's the last place, Deuteronomy 4. Deuteronomy 4. Deuteronomy 4. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with the audio. Deuteronomy 4. And let's pick it up at verse 26. Ye perish from off the land whereunto ye go over Jordan to possess it. Ye shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. So now he's saying that you, even for Israel went into the land, that you're going to be kicked out of the land. It says, and the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord shall lead you. And there ye shall serve gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. Then he said, but if from thence thou shalt seek the Lord thy God, thou shalt find him. If thou seek him with all thy heart and with all thy soul, when thou art in tribulation, and all things are come upon thee, even in the latter days, if thou turn to the Lord thy God, and shalt be obedient unto his voice, for the Lord thy God is a merciful God, he will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of thy fathers, which he sware unto thee. See, so he's talking about just back to me. And that's what we need to kneel in prayer about. Acknowledging our sin, turning back to God. That's what we need to do with our whole hearts and worship him in spirit and in truth. Worship him as it is.